When we say, "This is good code," what do we actually mean? At this point, you should be able to answer part of that. Good code usually comes down to two things. First, readability. And second, scalability. We talked about scalability, and scalability meant big O. We measured how fast our code grows as inputs grow. But don't hate me, I simplified something, just a little. When we say scalable, there are actually two things engineers care about, not just speed, but memory too. Up until now, we've been focused on time. How fast does the function run? How many operations does it perform? That's time complexity. Now, if you haven't watched the previous video on big O time complexity, I strongly recommend you pause this one and watch that first. You can click the I in the top right. Because the big O notation we're going to use here is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is what we're measuring. In the previous video, we measured time. In this video, we'll measure memory. Computers don't just run on time. They run on two valuable resources, speed and memory. Speed is influenced by the CPU. Memory is influenced by RAM, and neither of them is infinite. Yes, computers today have much more memory than they did years ago, but it's still limited. And in large systems, memory matters a lot. So when we talk about writing good code, we're really talking about three pillars: readable code, fast code, memory-efficient code. Readable code. We'll talk about readable code throughout this course. Fast code, that's time complexity. And now we're introducing the third pillar, memory usage, also known as space complexity. And here's the interesting part. We still use big O, same notation, different measurement. Before, big O measured time. Now it will measure space. How much extra memory does your algorithm use as input grows? And here's something important you should know. There is often a trade-off. If you want code to run faster, you might need to use more memory. If you want to save memory, you might sacrifice speed. This trade-off shows up everywhere. Great engineers understand both sides. So now, let's get into the details. How do we measure space complexity? When a program runs, it has two main places where it remembers things: the stack and the heap. Let's understand both properly. The stack is where function calls live. Every time you call a function, a new frame gets pushed onto the stack. That frame stores the function's local variables, the function's parameters, and where to return once the function finishes. Think of the stack like a pile of plates. When a function starts, a new plate goes on top. When the function finishes, that plate gets removed. It follows a simple rule: last in, first out. If a function calls another function, that new function gets pushed on top. If that function calls another function, another layer gets added, and this keeps going. But here's the catch: the stack is limited in size. If you keep calling functions without stopping, for example in deep recursion, you can overflow the stack. That's what stack overflow really means. The stack ran out of space. Now let's talk about the heap. The heap is where dynamic memory lives. This is where arrays, objects, dictionaries, large data structures are stored. Whenever you create something like an array, that list is allocated on the heap. The heap is more flexible than the stack. It can grow and shrink during runtime, but it's also slower to access compared to stack memory. And just like the stack, the heap is not infinite. If your program keeps allocating memory without releasing it, you can run into memory issues. Why does this matter? When we talk about space complexity, we're asking, how much additional memory does this program allocate as the input grows? Are we creating new arrays, new dictionaries, extra variables, recursive function calls? All of that consumes memory. Sometimes we optimize for time. Sometimes we optimize for space. And very often, there's a trade-off. If you want something to run faster, you might use extra memory. If you want to save memory, you might sacrifice speed. Understanding both heap and stack helps you understand where that memory is going. What causes space complexity? Space complexity increases when we add new variables, create new arrays or data structures, use recursion, which adds stack frames, allocate additional memory inside loops. And just like time complexity, we measure space complexity using big O. Same notation, different resource. Time measures operations. Space measures memory allocation. Now, let's actually look at some code. Let's go through real examples and calculate space complexity step by step. Before we continue, there's one very important rule about space complexity. When we measure space complexity, we do not count the input itself. If a function receives an array of size n, that array already exists. We didn't create it. So we only measure the extra space our algorithm allocates. Extra variables, extra arrays, recursive stack calls. That's what space complexity measures, not the input, only the additional memory. All right, in the last video, we talked about time complexity in detail. Now we're going to understand space complexity. And to make this crystal clear, we're going to look at 4 small examples. We're going to see one function that uses constant space, one function that uses linear space, one recursive function that grows the stack, and finally, we'll compare an in-place solution versus a solution that creates a new array. All simple, all small, but each one will prove a different idea. Let's start. We're not going to dive back into time complexity. We'll just reference it briefly, like a confident engineer. Example 1, constant space, O of 1. We're going to write a function that simply sums numbers in an array. Pay attention to memory. This function takes an array. Inside it, we create one variable. That's just one variable. Now we loop through the array and return the result. Now pause. Yes, we loop through the array, but we never create a new list. We never store extra data proportional to input size. We only use total, and that variable stays one variable, no matter how large the input is. So space complexity is O of 1, constant space. Memory does not grow with input size. Now let's quickly analyze its time complexity. We loop through the entire array, so that's O of n. And we only used one variable, total. That doesn't grow with input size, so space complexity, O of 1. So this function is time, O of n, space, O of 1. Example 2, linear space, O of n. Now, let's slightly change the problem. Instead of summing numbers, we're going to create a new list where each number is doubled. Watch what happens to memory. First thing we do, we create a new list. This is important. We just created new memory. Now we loop through the input. And return it. Now think, if input has 5 items, result has 5 items. If input has 1,000 items, result has 1,000 items. Memory grows with input size. So space complexity becomes O of n, linear space. Same loop structure, different memory behavior. Time complexity? We still loop through all elements, so O of n. And we created a new list of size n, so space, O of n. So this one is time, O of n, space, O of n. Same time as the previous example, different memory behavior. That contrast is gold. Example 3, recursive stack growth. All right, now we're going to look at something slightly different. This is the first time recursion is appearing in this course, so don't worry if it feels unfamiliar. We will cover recursion properly, slowly, and in full detail later. Right now, I only want to use it to demonstrate how stack memory grows, nothing more. Let's write a very small recursive function. Now, we need something called a base case. Don't worry about the term for now, just think of it as a stopping condition. And then we call the function again inside itself. Now, pause. If this feels new, that's okay. We're not studying recursion here, we're studying memory. So imagine we call factorial 5. It calls factorial 4, which calls factorial 3, which calls factorial 2, which calls factorial 1. Now here's the key idea. Each of those function calls gets placed on something called the stack. They don't disappear immediately, they wait there until the deepest call finishes. Only then do they start returning one by one. So if we start with 5, there are 5 stack frames. If we start with 100, there are 100 stack frames. So memory usage grows with the depth of recursion, even though we didn't create an array. Even though we didn't allocate a list, the stack itself is using memory. So space complexity here is O of n, linear stack growth. Time complexity? We make n recursive calls, so O of n. And the call stack grows to depth n, so space complexity is O of n. Time, O of n, space, O of n. And again, don't worry about understanding recursion yet. We will dedicate an entire section to it later. Right now, the only takeaway is recursive calls increase stack memory. That's the lesson. Example 4. In-place versus extra array. Let's compare two solutions to the same problem, reversing an array. Same goal, different memory behavior. First, in-place reverse. We're going to reverse the array without creating a new one. We'll simply swap elements inside the same array. We'll use 2 pointers, one at the beginning, one at the end. Now swap while they haven't crossed. And return it. Let's analyze. Time complexity? We traverse roughly half the array. Half of n is still proportional to n, so time complexity is O of n. Space complexity? We only used 2 extra variables, I and j. No new list, no additional storage that grows with n. So space complexity is O of 1, constant extra space. Now, let's look at another way. This time, instead of modifying the same array, we create a brand new one. We start with an empty list. Then we loop backwards through the input. And return the new array. Time complexity? We still visit every element, so time is O of n, same as before. Space complexity? This time, we created a new list, and it grows with the input size. If input has n items, result has n items, so space is O of n. This example shows something important. Both solutions take the same time, O of n, but one of them uses more memory. And that matters, because at scale, memory becomes expensive. All right, so far, we've seen memory behave in a few different ways. Sometimes it stayed tiny, sometimes it grew with the input. Sometimes recursion quietly stacked up frames behind the scenes. So you might be thinking, okay, I get it. More memory, less memory, fine. But now we're stepping into something engineers care about a lot more than they admit. Trade-offs. Because in real systems, you almost never get everything for free. You want faster? You usually pay with memory. You want memory efficient? You often sacrifice speed. And that tension, that quiet negotiation, is everywhere in computer science. So let's look at a deceptively simple question. We're given an array, and we just want to know, does it contain any duplicates? That's it. No sorting, no fancy math, no tricks. Just, is any value repeated? Seems harmless, right? But here's the fun part. There are 2 completely valid solutions. One is memory cheap, but slower. The other is memory hungry, but faster. Same problem, different priorities. And this is where space complexity stops being theory and starts becoming engineering. Version 1. No extra memory. In this version, we refuse to use any additional data structures. No sets, no hash tables, no helper arrays, just the original array. And 2 loops. All right, let's analyze this honestly. Time complexity. We've got nested loops. The outer loop runs n times, and for each element, the inner loop scans the rest of the array. So roughly n times n, which gives us O of n squared, quadratic time. So if the array gets big, this approach gets slow very quickly. Space complexity? Now here's where this version feels proud of itself. Are we allocating anything new? Any arrays? Any sets? Any extra storage that grows with input? No, just loop counters. That's it. So space complexity is O of 1, constant space. So this version is time O of n squared, space O of 1. Slow, but extremely memory efficient. The kind of solution that says, I may take my time, but I travel light. Version 2. We allow extra memory. Now we optimize for speed. This time, we use a set to remember what we've already seen. So instead of comparing every pair, we just ask, have I seen this before? If yes, then duplicate. If not, then store it and move on. Let's analyze. Time complexity. We loop through the array once, and each set lookup is O of 1 on average. So overall, O of n. Linear time. Much faster than the quadratic version. Space complexity. But we did pay for that speed. We created a set. And in the worst case, we store every element. So memory grows with input size. That gives us O of n space. So this version becomes time O of n space O of n. Fast, but carrying a backpack. It moves quickly because it remembers everything. Now here's the key insight. Version 1, slow, but memory efficient. Version 2, fast, but uses more memory. This is a real-time space trade-off. We spent extra memory to dramatically reduce time. And engineers make this trade all the time, in interviews, in production systems, in large-scale software. Sometimes speed matters more. Sometimes memory matters more. And your job as an engineer is not to memorize solutions, it's to understand the trade. Time and memory are both limited resources. You can optimize one, but often you pay with the other. That's engineering. That's scalability. And that's exactly why Big O matters. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you spending this time learning with me. And I'll see you in the next one.